Hi, this is Ned Siegfried from Siegfried and Jensen. As proud sponsors of BeliefCast, we hope you are inspired by Todd's weekly podcasts, which contain so many courageous stories of recovery and personal growth. Remember, it's not what happened in the past that matters, it's what happens in the future. We invite you all to work hard and be optimistic about your future. Enjoy today's podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Todd Sylvester with the Todd Sylvester Inspires BeliefCast. Thank you so much for tuning in week after week. You guys are amazing. Thank you for believing in me. I'd like to give a shout out to our sponsors, Wasatch Recovery, Siegfried and Jensen, and Veracity Networks, and also the I Heal Institute. You guys are amazing. You guys believe in what I'm doing here. We've helped so many people. We bring amazing people on who are doing just good things in this world, but also who have been through hard things. And I think that's what you guys appreciate. But I can't thank you enough for supporting this. You guys are amazing. Today is no different. We got an amazing person that I've come to know over the last couple of months, and he is gracious enough with his time today. We're joined with the creator of Potential You. His name's Matt Travis. Matt, thank you for joining us.
Todd, I want to thank you so much for having me. I love what you do. I love this podcast and really what it does for people. So I am blessed and grateful to be here with you.
Awesome. Well, a little bit about Matt, again, like I said, he created Potential You, which empowers women to transform their subconscious habits and raise their lowest standards so they can recognize their own self-worth and build sustainable, successful businesses, which I'm so excited to hear why you're focusing on women here, which is going to be great for our listeners to hear. You're known as the Mompreneur mindset mentor. I love that. Yes. I love that. And so you also coach, people in fitness, and you're trying to help people become their best selves. Matt himself has struggled with some things in his own life, striving to be successful, working long hours, trying to be the best that he can, but, witnessed, some burnout and just, neglected some self-care. And ultimately, he just at times growing up, he didn't feel like he was good enough. He struggled with ADHD. He's been through a lot, but he's also doing a lot of good because of what he's been through. And I'm just excited to learn more about what Matt does. And so again, Matt, thank you for your time. Why don't we start with just tell us about where you grew up. I know you grew up there in Boston, but tell us a little bit about your childhood and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I had it's one of those things. I consider myself very lucky. I had amazing parents, and we were born in Boston. I was born in Boston, and then they moved us out of Boston, out of West Roxbury, and into the suburbs, and just really gave us a really great life, and gave me the opportunity to go to a school district that actually could support my learning disabilities, which was really beneficial. It didn't change the way that I, of course, the meanings and feelings that I put to it, which we'll talk about in a second. Yeah. But the biggest thing is that I'm so grateful for my parents and my brothers and sisters. I had 2 brothers, 1 sister, so big family. Trying to figure out where you fit, right? Yeah. What's your role? Where do you align with everybody else in the family? But yeah, I had a great childhood, and I consider myself one of the people that just had a lot of opportunities that were given to me, which definitely helped along the way for sure.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate what you're sharing there, and it's great that you're fortunate to have a great supportive family. A couple things you just mentioned, though, I'd like to maybe touch into is that you mentioned learning disabilities. Talk about that and how that affected you as a child.
Yeah, it's interesting. As I've gone through my own inner game work and inner self mindset work, I realized a lot of my identity was formed and created around that when I was younger. And it's interesting because when you're younger and you're pulled out of class and you don't know why, right? Like when I was younger, they didn't tell me why. It was just you go into this room and they're doing all these tests on you, and they don't know, right? Yeah. And and, they were like, it's an inner ear thing. It's like, but all of the reports were like, Matt's a really nice boy. And he has trouble, he has a lot of friends, but he has trouble with paying attention and all these things. And they just weren't sure what I was really working with. They just knew I was falling behind. And it was something where I just would consistently be pulled out and just not know what that meant about me, like really taking it somewhat as a negative, like, what's wrong with me? It's that thought, like, am I broken, right? What are they trying to fix? So a lot of subconscious stuff that was seeping in there, that caught up with me a lot later, and I didn't realize how early on it had begun.
Yeah, I think you mentioned, that a lot of kids go through that. It's interesting. I kind of went through the same thing. I got thrown into a resource class. And, back then I had a really bad stigma. Oh, you're in resource, and I was always embarrassed of it. And, but again, I struggled as well with that learning stuff and not maybe feeling good enough. Did you ever find yourself feeling depressed or anything like that because of that? Or
yeah, absolutely. And I think part of it was my drive was so high, a lot of, like, when I was in these rooms, a lot of the kids, in your perspective as a child, you're like, they don't care. But I really, truly cared. And now knowing and looking back, they totally cared. They just felt helpless, right? They felt like this wasn't good. Like, it was just a complete, like, this wasn't going to work no matter how much help there is, right? And then there's home life and there's all of these things. I knew I wanted to be successful. And part of my drive was like, I wanted to be in average classes. Right, like, I wanted to be with all of my friends, and so I was working really hard all the way up until freshman in high school, and I just burnt out, complete. Like, my mom had to bring me to a couple different therapists trying to figure out what was really going on, and then sophomore year it was really like that's when it all came crashing, and I hit massive depression. I was getting into drugs, alcohol, things like that. And you're just trying to figure out what's really going on. And then I had this one therapist was like, number one, Matt, you're massively depressed. And number two, you haven't paid attention to a word I've said this entire talk. And so that was a huge aha to me, because they kind of got to see that there was a big link between, and anybody that's ever dealt with ADHD before, or any type of cognitive piece, knows that, like, because I was striving so hard, right, and working, but yet nothing was quote unquote working, or I was working double time compared to everyone else, and then doing the comparison thing, like, they don't have to work as hard as me. Why me? Blah 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 blah. Yeah. So definitely falling into a little bit of a victim mentality, and yet I was like, when they said that to me, I was like, let's see what happens. And the first day I took Adderall. It was a very low dose, it's 10 milligrams, and I felt like I could all of a sudden see. Like, it was like I was in a cloud most of my life. And it was like all of a sudden I had glasses on. I had like I could like see in a magnified way. And I don't necessarily believe medication is the right fix for everybody. I think there's a lot of other approaches, which we can obviously get into, but it changed my life. I wouldn't be here with you. We wouldn't be talking right now.
Yeah. Wow. Man, that thank you for being so vulnerable with that and sharing that with us. So you said this started your sophomore year. It obviously you were this high level guy your drive was so high that you were obviously burning yourself out and wearing yourself out. You were depressed, that kind of thing. Did this spill over after you graduated from high school? Did it continue on?
Well, I had like a wake up call. I crashed my car into a tree when I was in high school. And it was like, I'm not invincible. And I had that. And of course, this kind of continued to fuel I need to prove that I'm good enough to be here on this planet because I survived, right? That was the meaning that was tied to that, interestingly enough. But I had my guidance counselor say, you'd be lucky to get into college with your scores that you got, on your SATs and all of these things, and me with all my learning disability. And I sometimes you have people like that in your life that do that stuff, but interestingly enough, it just kept happening. And so a lot of my, as I was exiting high school and into college, and even after that, was me trying to prove I can do this, like doing it out of spite, doing it to prove to these people, hey, look, you can't tell me I can't go to college. And I did, and I got into college. And then of course, when I got into college, I started as a journalism and communications major, and then I found physical education. I was like, this is a much better fit. But phys ed is really, you're just a science major. That's all you are. A lot of people look down on it, but it's you just have to, you're a science major, and you learn the cognitive way to approach teaching and the pedagogy behind that. But the reality is they only took 16 people out of 100 of people that apply to this program every year. And my guidance counselors looked right at me and said, you'd be lucky to get into this program. Same deal. And I was like, you can't tell me what I can't do, right? So, and then of course, I ended up getting my first job before I even graduated from college. And of course, they were starting to let us know, like, it's going to be hard to find a job, all of these things. So one of the first lessons I learned that changed my life in that period of time was never accept a diagnosis that doesn't empower you, folks. That one was huge, because people are going to try to tell you what you can or can't do, trying to diagnose you with all of these things that make you some way. You get to decide. You get to choose.
Wow. Where did that come from in you? Because I mean, that I can see where a lot of people will hear that, well, you'd be lucky to even get into college. You're not going to get into college. A lot of people would take that as, and they would go a different direction. They would avoid college, but you were like, no, I'm going to make this happen. Is that how you were even as a kid? Like, you know what, I'm going to prove everyone wrong kind of thing?
I think that was, where that developed was because in spite of my learning disabilities, I created this overachiever type of thing, which later on the same identity did not serve me. Okay. And we'll talk about that. But it was really like, and this happens for a lot of kids, and anybody that's listening may identify with this, is the fact that, like, when you're a kid, you really don't, you want to be different, but you don't, right? Like you want to stand out, but you don't. Right. Like, so there's that like battle. And I wanted to be with my friends. I wanted to be in the same classes as them. I wanted to do all of, I wanted to be, I was a football player, but I was in love with music, and, I just had so many different kinds of friends. And I feel like what it did was, it was my parents being there and backing me and saying, you can do anything that you want to do, right? Like, you can do this. So like I said, I feel massively grateful, because I know many of the people that probably come in your show didn't have that support system. But it's so huge in helping you get through that stuff that's maybe happening from a mental health perspective.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. There are a lot of people who don't have that supportive environment like you did, but it's amazing too. I want to just point out how important it is as parents that we do help our kids learn to believe in themselves, right?
Yep.
And that's what I hear you're saying. Your parents really instilled that in you, and really made a difference for you. Yeah,
it was my parents, my coaches, and there was one woman, she was, interestingly enough, she was one of the paras in the resource room that I was in.
Really?
And if it weren't for her helping me put in applications and do all this, I still think about it all the time, how she made it possible for me. She helped bring it out in me that I could do this, right? So it's having those people, which I know I'm lucky that I had that. Like, because I might not be here today if it weren't for those amazing teachers. Are amazing human beings, folks.
Yes. Amen to that for sure. Teachers, coaches, parents, man, all that influence is amazing. It's interesting as you're saying this, Matt, that I say this a lot when people are diagnosed with a certain thing, mental health wise, they really are struggling with it. And I'll say, hey, that's your superpower.
Yeah.
And as I'm listening to you talk right now, and I want our listeners to recognize, as Matt sharing a part of his story right now in the struggles, you can see how this is that learning disability became his superpower.
Yep.
Because you worked harder, you strived deeper, you dug through some stuff, and you were like, I'm going to make this happen. And I think had you not had that, you may not have had the drive that you did.
Absolutely. Like could not agree more. And I feel like it makes me kind of call myself a race car driver, because it's like it puts me in a place where I see things bigger. Like I like you could be standing at the bottom of the Empire State Building looking down the street and you could see only so far, right?
Yeah.
But I like to go to the top. Same address, but I'm at the top, right? And I get to see it in a bigger way. And I knew that there was something more for me. I always felt like that. I always knew two things. Number one, I'm here on the planet to help people. That's my purpose, right? I didn't know what it was going to look like yet, though.
Right.
And I knew that, and something that I learned really early on is you can turn your pain into your path, folks.
Wow. Say that again. What was that you just said?
Yeah, you really, all I've done my entire time is I've turned my pain into my path. And I started to realize, like, I work with a lot of people that are trying to build their businesses, and it's like, they're like, I don't know what to teach people. I don't know how to help people. I don't, what could I offer? What would somebody pay me for? Honestly, everyone's been through something, right? We've all had our own different struggles in different ways, right? Yeah. And a lot of people have a knowledge base that they don't even know they have. And that's a lot of what I do for people is I help them realize how much they have. That's the potential you in them, right? Like how much they have inside of them that is just waiting to come out. We just have to get past our own fear of what that is.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that again. Turn your pain into your path. I want to make sure our listeners heard that again. Write that down. Yeah. Turn your pain into your path. Matt, thank you for sharing that. That is powerful. And exactly what you're doing. Now the name of your company makes a lot more sense. Potential you, right? The potential you have in you. So let's shift gears just a little bit. Thank you, for sharing what you have so far. You've got this organization, this company, Potential You. You really focus a lot on, women. Again, like we said earlier, you're considered the Mompreneur mindset mentor. And the question I think everyone might say is, what would a man know about helping moms and women? Yeah. So tell us about your company and organization, but why specifically women?
Yeah, it was interesting because it didn't start that way. It was it was kind of like right out of college, I became a high school football coach, and it literally began out of like, I saw the boys just strength training really horribly. Like it was just not going well. So I was like, I want to learn about strength and conditioning and see if I can help with this. So I started going to the Perform Better conference, and it changed, but that changed everything. It opened up this idea, like, what could I do with this? How could I help people? And I fell in love with fitness, and I started to realize I want to help people with fitness. So I started, I opened a fitness facility, and at the very beginning, it was mostly high school football players, male high school football players, and male high school basketball players. And it was the interesting thing about it, and life just kind of happens, not to you folks, it happens for you. And I looked out on the floor like 3 years later, and it was mostly like female high school athletes and women and moms. And I was like, interesting.
Yeah.
There was something that some type of thing that I was putting out there, because I wasn't great at marketing in the early days, but there was just something that I was putting out there. And I think a part of it was creating an environment where they feel comfortable and feel like they're a part of a community. And with that happening, I fell in love with helping moms, because what I realized in that moment was, when you help a mom get healthy and happy, the ripple effect is so epically amazing, where it's like the kids get healthy, the partner gets healthy. It's the ripple effect is it's just something I fell in love with. And I was like, this is the big part of what I'm supposed to be doing. Right. Like, and so I just kind of went in that direction. And basically, when I closed the fitness facility, I started the Potential You. It started as helping, particularly moms. But then I was like, what about these mom entrepreneurs that have these bigger visions, right? Like of like wanting to create more. I didn't want them to have to put all of their, like they're like, oh, I can only invest in my business and I can only invest in this and that and the other thing, but then leave their health and lifestyle on the back burner. Because that's what I did when, ironically, running a fitness facility, I destroyed my health and well-being. And partly is because I didn't know how to run a business. Okay. So I was like, I don't want that to happen to anybody else. So that was kind of the idea and how it came into reality.
Wow. Love that. And that's what a great way of getting into what you're doing. It's interesting. Like you said, life happens for us.
Yeah.
And I mean, even going back to the struggles you had as a kid and, as a young adult, those struggles happen for you, because you wouldn't be doing what you're doing now had you not gone through that. So
absolutely.
I love that you said that.
And what's really interesting that will be relevant for you, Todd, and your listeners is like, interestingly enough, like when I work with these moms and these mom entrepreneurs, a lot of times I'll work with their kids, and usually it's their son, and I get to speak to my past self, which is really like when I do the hypnotherapy with them, it's just amazing how I can kind of speak from like it's full circle, which is really, really, really cool.
That's awesome. You have 5 elements on the Potential You call it the blueprint. And the very first thing you have on there is mindset mastery. Tell us what that entails, and why is mindset so important for our overall mental health?
Yeah, mindset's everything. And it was interesting because, it used to be 5 elements, and then I just got really clear and I was like, there's 3. Right? There's mind, there's body and health, right? And then there's what you're doing, right? Whether it's your business or your career.
Yeah.
Right. Those are the 3 areas where I was like, that makes it very simple for people to understand. And it starts with your mind. Whether you're trying to have a health and body transformation or you're trying to have a business and career transformation, it all is an outward reflection of your inner self. So what it comes down to is I was building a fitness facility. And I was like, oh, it's got to be fitness. This is the thing. But the question I was always asking was, how do you get results and keep them? Why are people getting fit but not staying fit? Why? And then I was like, it's got to be nutrition. So then I got my nutrition certification. So I was like, why are people eating healthier but not continuing to do that? And then I was like, it's got to be mindset. So I started following Tony and Les Brown and Jim Rohn and all the doing all their programs. Yeah. I was like, there's something more than this, because this isn't even, this is moving the dial, but there's something more. And that's when I found Dr. Joe Dispenza and I found Marissa Peer, and I started to understand the subconscious. And I started to understand that when we're talking mindset, and when I'm working with people on their mindset, it has to be both prefrontal cortex, back and forth, what we're doing here, right? Yeah. And then we have to ultimately be able to shift the subconscious mind in order for long-term change to be sustained.
Yeah. Wow. Talk more about the subconscious mind, because I think, a lot of people have probably heard about that, but they, again, we get back into our conscious mind and do our thing. We forget about all
Yep.
that, right?
Yep.
So tell us a little bit more about how that works and how that, again, why that's so critical for us being successful and overcoming difficult things.
Yeah, I found out it's everything, because what it really is where your habits, that's where your habits run from, folks. Okay. That's where they're stored, and that's where they run.
Yeah.
And your habits don't know whether they're good or bad, right or wrong, helpful or unhelpful. They just run. And your mind thinks that they are supposed to be there and they've been keeping you safe for this long, so you might as well keep them. Right.
Yeah.
So I explain it this way. This is the best way to explain the subconscious. You don't wake up in the morning and think about the things that you do, folks. You just do them, right? You don't wake up and are like, you know what, let's give this procrastination habit a try. How about we do junk food eating habit today? How about we do this Netflix and chill thing? Like, we don't do those things. We just do what we do. And any of you that have ever tried to make a change in your life, right? So let's say you tried to make a change in your health, right? You tried to make a diet change. You're basically fighting against that old subconscious pattern and habit of what you always do, right? And you're trying to establish this new one. Yeah. And what happens is, when you brain battle back and forth with yourself, right? It's like, I don't want to eat this pizza. I'm trying to, release some pounds, blah, blah, blah. And your mind's like, yeah, but you did great this week, right? Like, your mind knows how to sell you. It's really, really good, right? Sure. Nobody knows you better than you. So your mind, you're going back and forth with your mind, you're doing this brain battle thing, and your brain wins, right? The mind wins. And it's a lot of times emotion is going to trump logic, right? So what it comes down to is we just have to start not personalizing this, because what happens after people do that, they're like, oh, there must be something wrong with me. I can't believe I can't make these changes. I've tried everything. It's not working. It must be me. I'm broken, blah, blah, blah. Folks, this has nothing to do with you and everything to do with your subconscious mind. And your subconscious is basically responsible for like 95% of what you do.
Wow.
If you've ever driven somewhere and just got there and you didn't know how you got there, that explains it. The subconscious, we're on autopilot all the time. So we just need to start dismissing those habits, right? You're not a procrastinator, folks. You just have a habit of procrastination right now. And if we start to understand at a deeper core level why you're procrastinating, which is procrastination is just you trying to get away from. It's a stress reducing tool. It's a pain reduction tool. Sure, it's like you're trying to get away from growth, pain, something that you're trying to avoid. And it just allows you for that moment to feel certain, familiar, predictable, and comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's your body and your mind trying to protect you, right? Wow. So we just need to figure out and dismiss that is just a habit. It's not me. Out loud, folks. This is just a habit. It's not me. And it's your habit alarm that goes off too. Like this thing that's like, hey, you have to do this. You have to do this. If you ever felt like, oh, I need to eat this. I need to eat this. I need to eat this, right? And then you eat it. And then for that moment you feel good, but then you might not feel so good because of what you ate, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's dismissing it, and then it's moving the attention, because
you described my weekend. I'm going to eat this. It feels so good going down. And then it's like, a half hour later, my stomach's killing me.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's getting very like the awareness is everything, right? And we are where our attention is, because, and this is an interesting one. You can't want what you're not thinking about. So I'm going to say that again, folks. You can't want what you're not thinking about. Let's say you are, thinking about the container of ice cream in the back of your freezer, right? Yeah. You're like thinking about it, right? And then you're like, no, I'm going to go take a walk, right? And on your walk, you kind of forget about it. You're not wanting it anymore, right? You're just going. And a lot of people, they miss that last important step of moving their attention, right? If you're an alcoholic and you're in a bar, and you dismiss it, you're like, no, this alcoholism is just a habit. It's not me. I'm dismissing this habit urge, but you stay there and your attention is there. Yeah. It's going to make it much harder. So moving your attention And this is in any area of your life, folks. You are where your attention is. So if you move your attention, it's going to make a much bigger impact on what on where you're going. So you move your attention to what you want versus what you don't.
Dang, very well said, Matt. Thank you. That is awesome. I couldn't agree more. I've heard it said this way, what you focus on increases.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's exactly what you're saying. So very well said. So, you obviously have sat down and have worked with, a lot of women one-on-one, helping them, find their best selves. Share some of your, it's so cool. You got so many testimonials of people who just love what you do. You've helped so many people get to that point where they've achieved some goals that they thought they never could. Give us a few examples of just some, maybe some clients you've dealt with that just kind of blew your mind a little bit, that just, that you could share with us that would be, something that you've done successfully with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Interestingly enough, I'd love to run the thread through all of my clients, like all the people I've ever worked with. And we realized this just recently in our company, was the number one thing we help people with is really with enoughness. It's self-confidence and self-esteem. Like, because when you feel more confident, right, and you feel confident in your capabilities, right, and you feel enough, right, so I categorize enoughness in two realms. It's enoughness from a self-worth, esteem standpoint, and enoughness from a capability standpoint. Gotcha. And what we do for people is we give them both of those things, whether it's through hypnotherapy or coaching or whatever it is. It's helping them rise in themselves. So it starts inside, right? So it starts with that mind. Because if you have an outer transformation in your body or health or your business or your career, it doesn't stick until you do the inner game work and you uncover those things. So, we've, since adding the rapid transformation hypnotherapy stuff, it's 10x to everything that we do, really, for sure. But we've had people lose 100 pounds. Sorry, I like using the word release, folks. I don't like using the word lose, because if you lose something, you can find it. And you may realize that anytime you lose something else in your life, it's actually not a good thing. You've never lost anything else, but that with weight release, it's different. People are like, weight loss, but your mind doesn't like the word lose. So with weight release, we've had thousands and thousands and thousands of people release a lot of weight, but it's a side effect of gut health and subconscious shifts is what it is. Okay. So we've had people do that. We've had people start making more money in their business. We've had people finally start to be able to be the parents they want to be. Like that, I get that a lot. Like they start to feel really confident in how they're feeding their kids and how they're showing up for them. And when they get healthy and happy, they're not their blood sugar's good. They're not snapping at their kids. They start to realize that they invest in themselves and that sleep is so important for them. And I feel like a lot of the women and moms that I work with, if they put their own oxygen mask on first, which is counter to a lot of what their identity is when they first come to me, then they actually start to be able to stand for themselves. Yeah. And they become a better version of all of the things that they really wanted to be in the first place. Like, be better in their career, be better in their, for their kids, all of these things, because they're really good at giving, but it's just learning how to be a better receiver. So we help people become better receivers and do really what they become the potential you.
Wow. Love it. That is so well said. So many good nuggets in there. As you're saying this, I'm sitting there thinking, because you're obviously helping a lot of people. What does it look like for you though, as an individual, Matt? You're this influencer, you're helping people. What do you do? And what does your day look like for you? Like, how do you keep yourself, centered and being the best you and being able to be on that frequency and that kind of thing? What do you do?
Yes. I'm gonna formulate this in two ways. So
Okay.
first, I'm gonna formulate it by, I a lot of times won't share this because people instantly go into comparison mode. Well, if Matt does this, then I need to do this in order to be this, blah, 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 right?
Gotcha.
So what I want people to understand is that what I do is going to be very different than what I have an individual do. And we all base it on this. And this is how I'll explain what I do. But I help people at the most basic form raise their lowest standards, because we don't get our highest standards, folks. At the end of the day, we get our lowest standards. So whatever your lowest standards are, and we have them in every area of our life, we have them in relationships, we have them in what we eat, we have them in what the exercise we do, we have them in everything, in our money, in our bank account, and in every area of our life. So when we look at our lowest standards in all of these areas of our lives, it's usually where our subconscious habits are, and that's really what we're getting in life. Right. So for me, all I had to do was start to realize I need to raise my lowest standards in each of these areas so that I could perform better for myself.
Yeah.
And that allowed me to perform better as a father, as a husband, as a coach, as a mentor, as a teacher, as all these things. So my day looks like a bunch of different habits stacked on top of each other, right? Okay. I wake up, I drink water, I do some meditation or breathing. Yeah, okay. Right. I take cold showers. I do stuff that most people won't do, but it's because I destroyed my gut health so much. I hit such a horrible place in my health, and it was a lot because of the stress of building my first business and being that overachiever. And being super stressed, my body started giving me sinus infections, basically being like, Matt, slow down. Yeah. And that created fungal infections in my gut. And that, of course, doctors give you antibiotics, and that just made my whole problem more exacerbated. And I went from 200 pounds, 6'3", 200 pounds to 165 in 3 months. And I just completely destroyed my health. So in gaining that back and doing my due diligence and learning about gut health and learning how the mind and the gut are really interconnected, that was what allowed me to save my life, right? And that's really what I do for others, is I help them realize that it's not so much it's not all these things that you want externally. It has to start in the internal world. Yeah. And my habits and the things that I do each and every day, they're all in supporting my overall environment of what I want to have happen. But it starts at my identity, my beliefs, my values, my standards, my habits, right? All this under this iceberg, right? It's the bottom of the iceberg stuff that nobody sees. Yeah.
Wow. Very well said. It reminded me of what you said earlier, where you're not a procrastinator. You just have a habit of procrastinating. It's not who you are to your core. And I love that, because I think a lot of times, like you said, we identify ourselves with all these negative labels, Yeah. And again, you look back at your life, you struggled with the learning disability that you had, but then something kicks in, you got your parents and coaches and that woman saying, no, you can do this, you can overcome this. And you threw away the label, basically, is what you did. And it's just cool to hear you say that.
Yeah. And you know what? You made me think of a really interesting point, because a lot of your listeners probably have taken some kind of Enneagram or DISC profiles or things like that to figure out who they are. Yeah. And I have a little bit of different take on that, where what we use with our members, if they take those, it's not defining you as something. Because what people do is they take them, they're like, this is who I am, this is how I am, I can't change it. Yeah. And what we do is we help them see, this is just how you're being right now. Right. And then where do you need to push? What's the opposite of this that we need to maybe push into a little bit, that's going to allow you to create this more balancing of your overall identity, which is really a cool way to think about it for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
They get more out of it.
Yeah, that's powerful, Matt. So powerful. I always ask this question when we get towards the end of our conversation, and I'm interested to hear how you would answer this. If there's someone listening to you right now who is in a dark place. They're struggling. They're not sure what to do with their life. What advice would you give to that one person right now who's listening to you?
This is one of the biggest questions you could ask anybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I could answer this so many ways, right? And a lot of people they're sitting and listening, like waiting for my answer to be the thing that helps them get unstuck.
Yeah.
And say, right? So a lot of people are waiting for that.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, you have it inside of you right now already. Okay? This is what I would say to you. Most people that are in a dark place is their subconscious habits have gotten them there, right? But it's not you. And you maybe were like me, where you had chased trying to be good enough your whole life. I was doing that in everything that I was doing. I was like, right after college, I got my master's, I got all these certifications, I opened a fitness facility, I got married, I had a child, and I was trying to chase being good enough externally my whole life. And then when it all came crashing, I realized what I was doing. And it came back to those learning disabilities. It came back to that not feeling like I was enough. And it was where my attention was, folks. My attention was on external validation. My attention was on, if I do this thing, then I will be this. And this is what I'll say to that answer is, or to answer that question is, there is nothing you can do right now that will make you more of enough than you already are. There is nothing you can do ever. You can't lose weight to be more of enough. You can't make more money to be more of enough. None of these things are going to make you more of enough than you are right now, because you are a 1 in 400 trillion chance of being born, folks. Those are the true statistics of the chance of you being birthed into this world. Yeah. So you are here for an absolute reason. There is energy and flow coming through you.
Love it.
And it's our job to, as human beings, to go through our lessons, right? There's no failure. There's none of that. It's all lessons that you're learning. And we are learning through our karma and we're trying to seek our dharma, and just never stop. Never stop focusing on that internal voice, because it's leading you where you need to go. And when you're in that dark hole, because I've been there, folks, been there plenty of times. I was addicted to marijuana and then that went to drinking, and then that went to achievement, and then that went, it was all of this trying to cope with this voice and this thing inside of me that's saying, there's more for you. There's more.
Yeah. Wow. That is so well said. I love that you said you already have it. What you're looking for is already there. You just have to be aware of it and recognize it. And in the way you spelled that out, Matt, was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure those who are waiting for that beautiful answer, they got it. That was amazing. Thank you.
My pleasure.
If people want to reach out to you, Matt, and get to know you better, reach out to you to ask a question, find your company, or sign up for your services, whatever, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, I feel like in this world of there's so many people, there's all of these things. I love connecting with people. You can ask me a question directly, folks. Do I have a team? Yes. But at the end of the day, I'm more than open to connecting with you. If you have a question, like we have an amazing Facebook group where people can ask questions in there. They can send me a message in Messenger in Facebook, right? They can connect with me on Instagram at The Potential You. They can send me a message there, right? They can go to my website and book a call with me at The Potential You, and the potential dash, and it's the letter U.com, folks. And then just, like we just have a lot of free value to give to people, because I'm just a big believer that in the world that we live in, there's information everywhere, folks. Yeah. You ever feel a little overwhelmed by how much information there's? So what I like to do is I like to give people something where they can focus their attention, and it will take them through. I mean, we have I give this away to people that connect with me all the time. It's a course called the Mind Body Business Transformation, and it's a free course, and I just help them guide them through all of this. And I built it based on psychology of how humans' minds work.
Oh, right on.
So that's the best way to connect with me. Reach out. I would love to chat with you, help you, guide you through whatever you're doing right now, and help you find what you're looking for.
Love it, Matt. That was awesome, man. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule to be with us today. You know, I love your story. I love what you're doing. And I'm going to challenge all our listeners who are listening right now, check out that free course. I mean, it's free. And I mean, you already just heard this amazing information. Go check it out. Reach out to Matt and ask him a question. Follow him on what he's doing. His website, man, has got so much stuff on it. It's a little overwhelming, but it's just good stuff. So check that out and check out the free course. And thank you for tuning in week after week. You guys are amazing. Again, thanks to our sponsors. I love you. And Matt, once again, you're amazing. I'm so grateful that I get to connect with you. And if there's anything I can do personally for you down the road, please let me know. And I'd be happy to help you out any way I can.
Todd, I appreciate it so much. I'm so excited to be on this with you. It's fantastic to be able to be within your presence and serve your people, because it's a world of service. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate all the listeners.
Thank you, man. So many good things you said today, man. I mean, I've got a whole page of notes, good stuff, man. It's so good. But yeah, Matt, you're awesome. Everybody, please keep tuning in. Share this, like this, subscribe, send it to people you know who are struggling, and you'll make their day today. So I love you guys, and until next time.